Astoria to the Rockaways. It's time for the Queen's New Yorker. And here is the man giving you all the info, your uber snazzy and jazzy host, Mr. Jason D'Artagnan.
Oh, thank you, Jason Kelly. Oh, my gosh. Thank you, folks. Wow. What a group. You are so privileged. Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Wow. And welcome once again to the Queen's New Yorker, where we have a, whoa. Oh, my gosh. A live audience here. You should give yourself another round of applause for that. Whoa. Oh, my. Thank you. No. Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Oh, you really do. Oh, my. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice. What a wonderful welcome. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Queen's New Yorker on YouTube and Instagram, if we can get the darn thing working. It's Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020. It's episode number 48. And, oh, my gosh. Wow. Great stuff. We added an applause track and fooled everybody. No, that's right. I feel so much like doing the show now. It's great. And, of course, our announcer, Jason Kelly, is always there. And I hope you enjoyed last time out on the program where I thanked everybody for 1,500 views. And wouldn't you know, no matter how soon I posted that particular clip of episode 47, then everybody else was watching the back episodes, and we're almost at 1,600 views. Whew. Wow. It's gone so fast. I may have to be on camera in another few weeks if this keeps up. So let me tell you what's been going on. I'll give you a little rundown. 1,579 total views. Whoa, man. You can tell that where we're going with this. As of right now, we have 224 subscribers. Thank you very much for your continued support. And for the new people out there who have just subbed, please do enjoy the content. Even though the channel is not made for kids, I think it's up to your discretion whether or not you want to share that information with your children. But there's nothing really dirty about the information we're giving you. It's factual information from the borough of Queens, but the show could be understood more for those over the age of 13, I would think, would have a more appreciation of it. Not saying that anyone under the age of 13 wouldn't, but just for the sake of it, let's just play that it's not for kids. Anybody 13 and older can enjoy this program, and I think it's a parent's discretion is the better choice than, well, maybe or maybe not. It's up to you, folks, whether or not you'd like to share this information with your children. And that's what we're here to do. I promise you today we're going to have a great time in this this 20-minute segment. So the 1,500 view episode got so far 19 views, 6 comments, 4 likes, and no dislikes. The one program, episode 46 before that, the history of Edgemere, Far Rockaway, and Hamels, now has 40 views, 8 comments, 4 likes, and a dislike. And every one of the shows from the last, I would say, 4 or 5 episodes have a 30 to 40 view count. And of course, our most popular episode right now, South Ozone Park, is still holding its own right now at 152 views, 2 comments, 8 likes, no dislikes. Beautiful. Keep it going, folks. Tell everybody about that particular episode so we can get that count up. All right? But today on our show, we're covering 2 Far Rockaway neighborhoods, Neponsit and Rockaway Beach. And mind you, today here in Orlando, the high only got up to about 51 degrees with a low of 38. So I know now for a fact that it's cold today here in Florida, and it feels like a New York winter. One of the colder days we've seen so far in this new decade and new year. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's talk about Neponsit. It's a small, affluent neighborhood located on the western half of the Rockaway Peninsula, the southernmost area of the borough. And the area starts at Beach 142nd Street and ends at Beach 149th Street. It borders the neighborhood of Belle Harbor to the east, Jacob Riis Park on the west. Jamaica Bay and the Atlantic Ocean are the northern and southern borders, and the neighborhood is part of Queens Community Board 14. As of January 1st, 2007, the neighborhood's population reached just over 2,000, making it one of the smallest communities on the peninsula, as well in the entire borough of Queens. Now, Neponsit is a Native American name meaning the place between waters, the waters of the Atlantic Ocean and of Jamaica Bay or Rockaway Inlet. The present community's character has persisted since it was established, and in January of 1910, the Neponsit Realty Company purchased the land for the development of an exclusive community. So over 110 years ago, it forbade the construction of any homes that were inexpensive, and the homes were built in order to withstand the beach weather and geography of the narrow peninsula. The entrance to the area was originally marked by a massive ornamental gateway. More recently, a stretch of tree-dotted islands called the Malls, situated along Rockaway Beach Boulevard, was a distinguishing feature. It extended through Belle Harbor, and by the 30s, high-quality homes were dominant in Neponsit. The first transatlantic flight departed from Neponsit on May 8, 1919. 4 United States Navy Curtiss Model seaplanes took off from what is now Beach Channel Drive in Neponsit to Newfoundland, Canada, the Azore Islands, and Lisbon, Portugal. Finally, on May 31st, 1990, only one plane piloted by Lieutenant Commander Albert C. Reed arrived in Plymouth, England. There you have it. The history of Neponsit. Now, with the remaining time that we have left, let's go to Rockaway Beach. A little more history. So it'll be we'll see how it goes. Not too bad. A little more, though, in depth than Neponsit. So here we go. Rockaway Beach is the neighborhood of the Rockaway Peninsula. The neighborhood is bounded by Arverne to the east and Rockaway Park to the west, and is named for the Rockaway Beach and Boardwalk, which is the largest urban beach in the United States, stretching from Beach 3rd to Beach 153rd Streets on the Atlantic Ocean. The neighborhood, with 13,000 residents as of 2010, was known as the Irish Riviera because of the large Irish American population in the area. Well, what is now Rockaway Beach was formerly 2 different hamlets, Holland and Hamels. In 1857, Michael P. Holland had purchased land and named the area after himself. Soon after, Louis Hamel, an immigrant from Germany, bought a tract of land just east of Holland. In 1878, he decided to give portions of his land to the New York, Woodhaven, and Rockaway Railroad in order to build a railroad station for the peninsula. The area around it became collectively known as Hamels, and on June 11th, 1897, Hamels merged with Holland, and they incorporated as the village of Rockaway Beach. 1 year later, it was incorporated into the city of Greater New York and became part of the newly formed borough of Queens. However, the neighborhood, along with the eastern communities of Auburn and Far Rockaway, tried to secede from the city several times. In 1915 and 2 years later in 1917, a bill approving the secession passed in the legislature but was vetoed by the mayor at the time, John Pori Mitchell. In the early 1900s, the newly built railroad station opened up the community and the rest of the peninsula to a broad range of the population. The wealthy no longer had a monopoly on the peninsula, as various amusement parks, stores, and resort hotels attracted people from all over the city to spend a day or a whole summer there. Much of the area was developed by James S. Remsen and William Wainwright. In this era, it became known as New York's Playground. Rockaway's famous amusement park, Rockaway's Playland, was built in 1901 and quickly became a major attraction for people around the region. With its growing popularity, concern over swimming etiquette became a problem, and in early 1904, the captain of the NYPD, Louis Kirscher, issued rules for those using the beach, censoring the bathing suits to be worn, where photographs could be taken, and specifying that women in bathing suits were not allowed to leave the beachfront. The park was grand for its time. One of its most popular attractions, the Atom Smasher roller coaster, would be featured in the beginning of This Is Cinerama, which is a pre-IMAX type movie in 1952. An Olympic-sized swimming pool and $1 million midway also were built within the amusement park, and they would serve the community for over 80 years. The Temple of Israel Synagogue was built in 1921 and listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2014. Now in the 30s, Robert Moses came to power as New York City's Parks Commissioner, and his extensive road and transportation projects were both a benefit and a disaster for the neighborhood. As commissioner, Moses ordered the construction of the Marine Parkway Bridge and the Cross Bay Veterans Memorial Bridge. The bridges were completed in 1937 and 1939, respectively. The Marine Parkway Bridge was built further west on the peninsula between Jacob Riis Park and Breezy Point, linking the isolated communities to Brooklyn. The Cross Bay Bridge landed in the middle of the neighborhood of Rockaway Beach. The new bridge made the community the peninsula's gateway to Queens, as it provided the only direct car access to the borough. The construction of the two bridges started to transform the neighborhood and the rest of the peninsula into a more year-round residential area or commuter town, as people had a more convenient way to travel to and from work. The conversion of the Rockaway Beach LIRR branch to the Rockaway subway line also brought an increase to Rockaway's permanent residents. And although the bridges were intended to improve the Rockaways, Moses' other projects both directly and indirectly hurt the community. One such failed project was the planned construction of the Shorefront Parkway in the 1950s and 60s. Wanting to connect Staten Island to the Hamptons, Moses focused on making a highway through the Rockaway Peninsula. His idea was to connect the Marine Parkway Bridge with the Atlantic Beach Bridge, which connected the Rockaway Peninsula to Nassau County. The plan would also provide an extension midway through to include the Cross Bay Bridge. Many feared that such an extensive project would do more harm to the peninsula than good, and pointed to the community displacement that had happened in the South Bronx because of Moses' roadway construction. And although Moses never got to make his highway, he did leave his mark. A piece of the planned parkway that ran west to east in the Rockaway Park and Rockaway Beach neighborhoods was constructed and opened in 1939. Houses were literally cut in half in order to build the four-lane street. Some of these houses are still standing today. The existing, still unfurnished street is locally known as the Road from Nowhere to Nowhere because it does not have any relevant connections to any other area or highway. Robert Moses' construction of other recreational areas and facilities, such as the New York Aquarium and Jones Beach State Park, indirectly impacted the neighborhood as well. These more modern recreational facilities lured tourists and beachgoers away from the peninsula. With fewer customers, businesses and hotels closed, and by the 1950s, the area had fallen into economic decline. Let's see. Decline. Okay. Now, the transition from a summer vacationing area to a full-time residential neighborhood had taken its toll. In an effort to revitalize the neighborhood, the city constructed the Hamel Houses. This project would be one of the many so-called urban renewal efforts that dominated the community and much of its eastern neighbors in the last half of the 20th century. The New York City Housing Authority purchased the land in 1952 on the north side of the elevated track, and in 1964 the authority decided to demolish and rebuild the entire area to what it is today. In addition to the Hamel Houses, the Daytona Beach Cooperative, which, unlike the Hamel Houses, are not projects, and they was constructed on the south side of the Rockaway Beach's skyline. Today, they're nestled between Rockaway Beach Boulevard to the north and Shorefront Parkway to the south. The Rockaway Courthouse was built in 1931, and it served as a local municipal and magistrate's court and was last used as a civic building in 1962. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2014. So, with more and more people moving to the city, the Rockaways became a destination for day trippers. The area appears in New York magazines reporting that 2007 spring travel issue as a place for surfing and to scuba dive for sunken ships. Out-of-towners start to call the beach Williamsburg on the Rockaways because some surfers from the Brooklyn neighborhood spend whole summers out in the Rockaways. The community was devastated by Hurricane Sandy in late 2012. Rockaway Beach reconstruction began with Phase 1, a $10 million contract provided by the Army Corps of Engineers to restore 600,000 cubic yards of sand along Rockaway Beach in August of 2013. The second phase put nearly 3,500,000 cubic yards of sand in 2014 at a cost of about $37 million. Phase 2 was paid by the federal government, though, through the Hurricane Sandy Relief Bill. And that is a look at our two wonderful cities in this, what I like to call, most interesting show with our news. So, next week on our show, or not next week, but the next time on the show, we're going to be looking at Rockaway Park and Roxbury. Two great neighborhoods next time we meet, right here on the Queens New Yorker, on YouTube and Instagram, if we can get the darn thing working. We will see you the next time, folks. And remember, be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Oh, yes. Have a great week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
You have been watching the Queens New Yorker. This is Jason Kelly on a Jason DeCanio internet presentation. Thank you for your support.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Derek Dyson Network for great more content like this one.